So far, he's standing by him.
Nomia Iqbal for us. Thank you so much for your reporting. And we can speak to Greg Treverton, Senior Advisor with the Center for Strategic and International Studies. He served as chairperson for the National Intelligence Council from 2014 to 2017. Welcome to you. Great to have you on World News America today. And I want to start by asking about the classification level of information like this that was being discussed, because it has been posited that this is not classified information. If it was indeed discussing, targets, timing, weapon system. Is that the type of information that can be not classified?
It does strain one's credulity to think it wasn't classified. If you're talking about war plans, attack plans, timing, maybe possible responses by the Houthis or the Iranians, that does seem to me to almost necessitate getting into classified information. So it does ring rather hollow when the Director of National Intelligence and the Director of the CIA both say that nothing classified was discussed. It certainly had to be at the boundary of classification, given the nature of the topic.
If you listen to what we've heard from Trump administration officials today, they have accused the media of playing this story up, this controversy up, and that in the end, nobody was harmed by this leak, if you will, the journalists being added to this chat. What consequences do you think there should be?
I think it needs to be thoroughly investigated by both Congress, ideally on a nonpartisan basis, as looks like may happen. It's really very unusual and very bizarre. And all the time I chaired the National Intelligence Council, we may have done unclassified emails on secret stuff twice, and very cryptically. You had to know what was going on to know what the other person was saying. So the idea that this was all done on a platform is really quite bizarre. It gets even stranger as we look into it more. Apparently, maybe Steve Witkoff, the president's envoy, was even doing this from inside the Kremlin or inside Moscow, which makes it even harder to account. So it seems to me, as your correspondent said, it resonates with the sense that this isn't really the A team of foreign policy people, and therefore this does reinforce that sense that the competence level is not especially high.
What about something that President Trump referred to when he was speaking just about an hour or two ago, and he said sometimes you'll have to communicate with a sort of speed where that traditional safety that you'd have in classified information where you go to a secure location, where that's not possible. Is that something that needs to be changed?
Well, I think there are certainly times when you have to act quickly and you maybe not be able to do all that, but you can always do it in some cryptic way. And maybe we need more such things, but there are lots of classified video facilities linking us and Europe. We used to have weekly conversations with our British counterparts, the Joint Intelligence Council, and that was all highly classified. We could talk freely over that line. So there are those lines, and there are classified telephones in lots of places, a little cumbersome. But presumably the technology is getting better and better. So while you can't always have people that you like all in the same room, it is possible to have them piped in from some secure video facility.
It will not perhaps come as a large surprise to European allies that the Vice President, J.D. Vance, for example, was very critical of Europe, saying that Europe was freeloading, and we saw that sentiment shared by others in the chat. Do you think this at all does serve to damage any of those relationships, or can that be repaired simply by the fact that we know that they've been publicly critical as well?
Yeah, it certainly doesn't help. Obviously, the British have been pretty stalwart in helping us to deal with the Houthis and the shipping concerns in that part of the world. So it has to have other allies. So it's a little unfair, and it doesn't help, I think, to have people publicly criticizing, senior officers publicly criticizing our allies who actually have been helpful. And in some sense, as I think one of the participants said, they're much more affected by this than we are, and therefore maybe they need to do more, but it isn't as though they've done nothing. So criticizing them seems to me to be gratuitous, a kind of a gratuitous slap at close allies, which in my view is never a good idea.
Just quickly before we let you go, do you think this is indeed a controversy that will blow over in a few days? The
president's probably right that there was no essential harm in it. only the concerns about secrecy and those things. So my guess is it'll get a detailed investigation, but will quickly be eclipsed by the next thing that happens. And we know, given this administration, that next things are going to come fast and furiously. So my guess is this will, while I hope the investigations continue, this will be, my guess is, a fairly short-lived crisis.
Greg Treverton, thank you so much for joining us on World News America today.
Thank you.